Windows 8 was a relatively hated version of Windows due to its user interface and other things. You don't really see it much anymore, but was it really that bad? That's a good question, and we're going to see what that's like in 2025. So first, a bit of background. Windows 7 was completed in 2009, and Microsoft began development on the next major version of Windows, which they wanted to have functional on ARM and be more tablet focused. This came after the success of the iPad from Apple, and multiple development milestones were reached. Previews were also released, and Windows 8 was released in 2012. Known for its Metro interface, that was a relatively new feature, but people did not really like it. An update was released in 2013, Windows 8.1, which is what we're looking at, and Windows 8 would be discontinued in 2016, which was a very short run. Windows 8.1 was the first version of Windows to not have a service pack, and it was one of, if not the last versions of Windows to have the ability to make MS-DOS disks. Mainstream support ended in 2018, and extended support ended in 2023 with no extended security updates, thus marking the death of MS-DOS entirely, besides the fact that they open sourced DOS 4. Now, I want to challenge the conception that Windows 8.1 was that bad, because for one thing, I actually like it. Yes, go ahead, go me for saying that. I experienced Windows 8.1 firsthand at the time on an Asus tablet, and I honestly was not mad or discontent with the user interface. So some points to bring up with Windows 8.1 and why people hate it and Windows 8 are mainly Windows 8 revolved around a interface designed for touchscreens and touchscreen devices. Most people were using desktops or non-touchscreen laptops, and as such, this meant that Windows 8 was not very easy to use. This combined with several inconsistencies between the desktop and the start screen, and Windows 8.1's controversial removal of the start button, means that Windows 8 is not very well received. However, I think that Windows 8.1 is a bit misunderstood, as people likely wouldn't have had as bad of an experience had they been using tablets that were designed for it. I'm not going to go into this much further because it is a controversial opinion, and I know people are going to get really mad at me in the comments for this opinion, but basically, one of the reasons why Windows 8 is so hated is because most people were using desktops and the operating system was designed for tablets. I think that if Microsoft were to introduce the touchscreen elements at a slower pace and over the course of multiple releases, this would have allowed people more time to adapt to this rather than their approach of shoving it right in everyone's face in one single release 3 years after Windows 7. So let's look at the computer we're going to be using. It's going to be the HP Pavilion 500-A60, which I made a video on just last week. So if you want the full overview of this system, then you can go watch that video. But to give you the Cliff Notes version, this is a rather mediocre computer that has an AMD A6 APU, specifically the A652 at 2 GHz, 8 GB of RAM, a terabyte hard drive, and this thing has an APU. I don't know how to do the graphics segment. But enough talking, let's get to starting up Windows. Also, before we do that, the setup is going to be a bit different because this is the last video that's going to feature my desk that I've used since 2023, and so I think that just for one last go, we're gonna make this look a little bit like its first setup. Without further ado, let's start this up. Let's start with alarms. This is a new app that allows us to set alarms that will go off at designated times, as well as set timers and use stopwatches. Here, I set a stopwatch to time how fast I could get water. Alright, I'm back with water. Kinda feels weird seeing my desk thingy and being able to put a cup of water on it. Of course, this is what's mainly intended for. Knowing that sound is, was originally a Windows 7 ringtone makes it feel slightly awkward here. I think that sounds in Windows 10 as a timer sound. Huh. Let's get to music. I'm not trying video on this thing after the Great Windows Media Center incident of 2025. No, I'm not going to update this thing. This is a music playing program that was introduced in this version of Windows as one of a couple programs that succeeded both the Zune and Windows Media Player. And kind of also Windows Media Center, but that was also available in Windows 8.1 special versions. Just like Media Player. Shut up, Avast. All this time I've used an antivirus on here and no problems. It's never detected any malware. So if that is... So I guess that puts emphasis on antiviruses aren't the most necessary things. And all that. What the heck happened to my... What happened there? That was weird. Guess we're gonna go look at photos next. And yes, I have imported some stuff. What is this? Oh, it's that picture. Can also edit it. This image does need an edit somewhere. I'm not going to say where. I just noticed this button. Huh. Oh yeah, we also have this thing. If I can get it to... Yeah, I can clearly tell that this is designed for, tablets, but I need to constantly peg the edge of the monitor here. Why did I have to word it like that? Come on! I guess this is kind of why... I kind of can understand why people... did not like Windows 8. This is not a very pleasant way to... yeah. Next up, we're going to look at OneDrive, which has one of the most misleading program names I could ever think of in a Windows version. You're not connected to the internet. I think that really matters the most. This is apparently in the... Huh. And then we also have this. Scientific. I wonder if... Oh, it does have a... Huh. No, wait. So, if I go to... 64... What? Yeah. I'm learning stuff like that. I don't know. Alright, guess what? We got the unit converter built in and an easy to access thing. 56 gigs is about 11 to 12 DVDs. Now you gotta do 88 petabytes is equal to 94,489,280,512 megabytes. Also, yes, ironically, that's the highest up they can go. We also have Reader, which isn't very useful on this install because I don't have anything of value for Reader. So now let's go connect to the internet and check out some of the stuff that's online. Also, it's gonna have a bit of wind noise here, but not the end of the world. Because I don't want this to turn into 30 FPS video. Why are the tiles? Alright, we got games. If it worked. Which it doesn't. Maps. Hopefully this doesn't dox me. Okay. Why? No! No! Bad maps! Bad Bing maps! Okay, well, we might as well, okay, well, I guess we can't go anywhere in the United States without getting me doxxed. So I guess, now, for the game of can we spot Chiyoda in the Bing maps? I don't have a good understanding of where everything is in Japan. Oh, I found it. Right there. Right there. Insert funny Nanami Midobe or OS Tan joke there. Of course, there are some things that don't work anymore. Such as food and drink. A recipe looking thing that was part of MSN. Something I actually used a bit back in the day out of curiosity. I found breakfast pizza on there once. As well as, so I thought, travel. I'm not sure if there is a discrepancy between this install and the one in Windows 8.1 in 2024, but this did something that I never thought it would do. Show me an actual thing. What? 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 My Windows 8.1 VM didn't... What the heck? Oh my god. This... Alright. What? That's a freaking... crazy that we got into the freaking app. This isn't supposed to work anymore. Oh my god, that's freaking crazy. Weather with sample data from London, the United Kingdom. Stop deleting that. Why is this doing that? Why? Also, this doesn't work anymore. What? Yeah, some of these MSN services don't necessarily work anymore, but others you can still partially use. For example, this. Let's go see. I mean, it's not necessarily the most, you know, for this, but we can at least use this to track a diet. Yeah, I'll just say potato soup for... How about potato soup for a snack? My average intake, 1,200 calories of potato soup! I'm just having fun with the Metro styles. That's generally going to summarize all the Metro apps, and so we're gonna move on to some other things, namely the internet and gaming. I'm not going to do a popular applications thing this time because Windows 8 video tends to be the longest and most complicated, and also I literally just did a video on the computer that I'm using right now last week, so I don't really need to repeat an entire section of a video. That being said, we are going to be looking at games later. What I will do is I'm going to look at the internet. As you probably know, there is a web browser that works on as old as Windows XP. It's even trying to get into the functionality of Windows 2000, Supermia. And while other browsers exist, notably MyPal, they're generally not as effective as Supermia, which is essentially modern Google Chrome ported over to legacy versions of Windows. Here, we're going to do more YouTubeception, which is why I'm recording dedicated footage again instead of use the footage from last week's video when I did this. And we've got YouTubeception.
Features while fixing its instabilities, but don't really find it. I think you can tell which video I'm going to click and what I'm going to do next. It's like that back. I took a look at it. You'll have to look for 20 as a fact. Stop right here. This interesting experiment.
more YouTubeception. Oh my god, the virtual videos getting so small. And we can browse things such as Blue Sky and GitHub. You already know that my own website works, and so we're not going to look at it. Nor are we going to be looking at Reddit. So I suppose we should move on to games. Now, for this section, there are two things I want to bring up. First of all, the footage that you're going to be seeing is from last week's video, because at this rate, essentially, it's the same games. And second of all, that brings me to, I don't have a lot of Windows 8 games. Nothing from the Metro Store works. There aren't a lot of games from Windows 8.1's time, as even games that seem to be from the time don't seem to work on Windows 8 anymore. I'm looking at you, Sims 4. Boy, oh boy, another reason to hate Electronic Arts. Updated Sims 4 so I can't even play it on Windows 8. It would have been a perfect game. What the is wrong with you, EA? So, without further ado, let's get going. First of all, Minecraft. This, likely by the time that you're going to be seeing this video, Minecraft is likely going to be phased out soon for Windows 7 and 8.1, so I would suggest that you get the chance to play it on Windows 7 or 8 while you can. That is, until another thing comes along and allows you to run it. Next up, Geometry Dash. Followed up with Portal.
Excellent. Please proceed into the chamber lock after completing each step. First, however, note the incandescent particle field across the exit. This aperture science material embeds the patient grid, will vaporize any unauthorized equipment that passes through it.
Toho 13, 10 Desires. Bitch Runner. Oh, and I went to get footage of a couple more games. Next up, we've got Bejeweled Twist. And last but not least, Histocom. This game is a bit interesting as it's a computer-themed game that revolves around time travel that seems kind of interesting, and I might want to make a video about it in the future, even if it doesn't do all too well. That's generally going to be about it for gaming. Overall, we had a bit of fun with Metro stuff in Windows 8. Came to realize that Windows 8, in my opinion, isn't as bad. It's probably not a shared opinion between the two of us, although Windows 8 does have its flaws, and we played some games, that most of which weren't even from April 1's time. Well, I think it's not that bad of an operating system, just it's used better on tablets, and it should have stayed on tablets. Now, Microsoft should have had something similar to the Windows 10 beta build for Windows 8 on PC. But overall, what else do I say? Oh yeah, given that we previously tried Windows 7 for a week, I think maybe sometime soon it should be Windows 8's turn. I shouldn't foreshadow this because one of you is probably going to, you know...